So I'm Tom Thompson. I represent Single Member District 2. So as you think of that as North Chadron as 29th Street up to 2105, you cross the bridge moving to the west, or you cross 29th moving to the west, and it kind of runs down. It'll catch all of that area down there south, Kirby Park, south of the soccer fields, and it kind of hits the loop and comes back up about where it ties in, where Glenna passes over Houston Hart again. I have lived in San Angelo. I came here in 1985 from Big Spring to go to college. Went here from 85 to 89. I left for about 4 or 5 years and did some post-college work in Odessa, Big Spring, and Lubbock. Got an offer to come back to San Angelo, which was, you find your home in life, and I found mine in San Angelo. You know, it's just like, that's where I feel good. I tell people there's your home where you grew up, and there's your home where you think you're just going to be the rest of your life. To me, that's Angelo. So I came back to Angelo in the 90s and have been here ever since. I went to college at Angelo State from 85 through 89. Got my bachelor's BBA in business administration. I started a little bit of my master's program at OC College. I slept through it the first semester and decided it just was not for me. And lived in Odessa a couple of years, Lubbock a couple of years, and in the electrical trade industry, sales. And then I moved back to San Angelo and managed 4 convenience stores for about 3 years. And that was by far the most educational job I have ever had in my entire life. And it's just, you learn how to manage people, you learn how to manage down the line, up the line. It was hard, especially with people that know much more than you do. That's one of the most, I was fixing to say, humbling things you can ever do, is sit there and understand that those people you're working with, that you have direction over, have forgotten more than you'll ever know at that point. And that's one of those things. It was the most humbling thing I've ever done. But with that, then I moved into the animal health industry and just traveling animal health sales. Took a break from that for about 10 years and worked for the San Angelo Stock Show and Rodeo and was their marketing and production coordinator for a while. Great group of people. I mean, it was kind of like being home and working with all your best friends every day. It was really cool. But I had an opportunity to go back into the animal health business about 2.5, 3 years ago, full time. And in the marketing industry for the stock show and rodeo, it was a good change. When you leave, you think, well, maybe, you know, they'll get somebody not as good and they'll realize what they missed. And we were joking around, and they hired a gentleman that had worked with us for 10 years and has done just wonders with it. So I'm just like, okay, go off and still volunteer and help when you can, but realize the goal, it's like a relay. And whatever we do, whether it be city, education, nonprofit, or council, we're all just one leg in the relay. You know, we hand it to the next one, and you always want it to be bigger and better. You just hope you were one of those good steps. Marty Self had Single Member District 2. Marty was not going to run for re-election. I had never considered it, but there were some people that said, we'd like to realize the largest thing in SMD2 is the stock show and rodeo. I lived a mile from the grounds. I worked there, and I knew a lot of the people within the district. So it seemed like a okay fit at the time. Several people called and talked and said, hey, you need to do that. I give credit to one person specifically, Dale Velasquez, and I ran into Dale, and he sat down and we talked through it, and he said, this is why you run and this is why you don't. Here's why I think you would be able to, you know, to win a campaign and an election and go forward. And he said, this is what we need to do. And he said, we need this vision from Single Member District 2. And so I kind of went through it. I was fortunate to run my first election unopposed. And so that was a blessing, because that was all right during the middle of the rodeo when we were seeing who was going to run or didn't. And then on my second election, I ran against 2 extremely nice, talented young ladies from Single Member District 2. And kind of made you feel good during the campaign, because if you lost, you knew it was in great hands. You know, the 2 people that were running were outstanding. And fortunately, I won that election. and went on, but I have just loved representing single member District 2. I'd love to see the expansion of Kirby Park. There's the baseball fields on Riverside Road, and so we've worked on that for a couple years, and it's down now to the dotting the I's and crossing the T's prior to construction. I think there's a lot of things that have been improved. That was actually funded with sales tax dollars several years ago, and we just haven't found the time to fit it in, but that's one I would really love to see happen. I mean, that one's personal to me. I'd love to see the development of the airport. Okay, you know, we're kind of held up on a sewer, on some utilities and structure and underground before that happens. But once that happens, the lake is going to explode. All that property, the commercial development that's going to be out there. You know, how fortunate are we to live in a town that has 3 lakes? Now, granted, 2 of them are kind of pools, but long story short, Nasworthy is such a key to our economic development and attraction. I mean, people come here. I ride on an airplane a lot, and I'll get a ride with a bunch of military coming in, and they're young kids. They don't know what to do, and they're like, I can see them at the airport. And unfortunately, I'm that guy my kids hate to travel with, because I'll just sit down and start talking with somebody I don't know. I'm like, all right, y'all are going to Angelo, you're a good fellow. Yeah, all right. So you firefighter, you know, what's your language? You're going to Intel, and they're all like, you know, I got one kid, and he spoke 3 different variants of Farsi. And I was like, thinking, I'm not even smart enough to sit on the plane with this guy, but he's coming to Angelo. He's like, I have no idea what to do. I have no idea. And he was from, I think, Minneapolis. But long story short, I'm like, dude, we got 3 lakes. You can, you know, did you do any hunting? Well, we did. Well, you know what? It's wide open. There's a whole town there set to take care of you. You're going to have to go find it, though. It's not going to come to you. Realize you're going to have to go find it. And I think that happens all the time. I think that'll be good. But those are things we want to happen. There's tons of things we want to do, we want to see, but we have to put, this council has to put in place for future councils the ability to get that done. One council could totally erase a step or kill something that's been trying to be developed for years, and you hope that never happens. It has in some, and we've seen it happen, and councils have to start over. But you just hope the whole line of what we do sets up the next 10 councils down the road. Let's go for 40 more years without any hiccups. "99% of the phone calls I get are something that's small, and it can be fixed. They just don't know how. All right. For the first year or 2, Harry Thomas told me this when I came in and sat down. He said, it'll take you 2 years to figure it out. And I was just like, well, I'll figure this deal out. You know what? Absolutely right. Harry Thomas said it's 2 years before you figure it out. You'll get a phone call. Hey, I'm having this problem with sewer. I'm having this problem with utilities. I don't know who to talk to on a permit. I've had people that have come in, not even in my district. And what's cool is I sit with a whole group of people. We don't define how we help somebody by our district lines. We don't care where they're at, we're going to help somebody. But I've had people call with permits. I don't know what to do. I'm sitting here and I'm like, well, you need to talk to this person. You need to go do a consult. You need to go to permits and sit down and say, what all do I need? But you need to do that first. And what's really cool is, like, if somebody has to do it twice, the first time was a rough time. The second time they're like, I went down there, I sat with this person, and I knew exactly what I needed. I went from 12 trips back down there to 2. You know, people just don't know the right questions. Or let me put it this way, they know their questions, they just don't know the answers or where to go. And if you think about the city of San Angelo, you know, there is no greater, larger group of responsibility and personnel and people and items that takes care of everything. And a lot of people do is just gripe about it. Well, I had to do this with the city and had to do that. And I'm like, if you knew the staff or what they did down there and take care of it, because they'll sit, who'd want to work in the water department window and get chewed out by people and then watch somebody be so helpful to help them all the way through? And they leave and they're like, I had no idea. You're like, you'd really be impressed if you knew what those people, the extent they go through to help people, knowing when they come in that door, waving a sheet of paper, oh, this isn't going to be good. And they totally change 180 and get them out the door. My goal has always been for the best of what's good for the city. None of my decisions have a personal bearing actually for any specific individuals within my district. You know, I get contacted a lot by people that I know, and they're like, hey, we're looking for some zoning here, and there's some that I've told that I wouldn't support it, and there's some that I've told that I would. You know, I just want people to know that you can come from wherever you want. You can go to Angelo State University, you can get a business degree, and you can basically have a blue-collar job to a white-collar job, and this town will accept you no matter what. It accepted me. You can get into politics. I will personally say municipal politics is by far the most successful. If you want to get something done, municipal politics gets it done. Once you go to county, state, federal, you're in an area that's kind of beyond the scope of what you can accomplish on the first and third Tuesday of the month. I have loved every minute of it. People are like, I don't know why you even do that. You can ask my wife and kids. I love going to council on Tuesdays. And this is the one bit of wisdom I gave my children, my two boys. And I say, you know what? People are going to come to you. They want two things. They either want to be helped or they want to be heard. 99% of the time, they don't want help. They just want to be heard. So you sit there and you listen. And, you know, my boys have, now that's a joke around the house. It's like, well, he didn't want to be helped, but he just really wanted to be heard. I'm like, I get it. And so we look at each other when somebody will say something, and they'll like either go one or two. And it's cool that you get to teach your kids something, and it's, somebody doesn't want feedback. They just want to hear. You know, like, okay, let me listen.